Good morning, readers. Today we are talking about making a plan for reading. Go ahead and fill in your reading learning intentions sheet. Today as a reader, I am working on making a plan when I read. Readers, we are starting a new unit today. We will be learning through reading, and we will be learning all about immigration. The things that we will do in this unit are read. We will research the topic of immigration. We will synthesize. This means that we will learn and understand as well as be able to explain immigration, and we will teach others about immigration. Readers, as we get ready to enter this unit, we need to make a plan for reading. That's our first step in researching, is making a plan. And in order to make a plan, we are going to look at what resources, and in this case that would be books, are available. We are going to read and skim the ones that appear to be interesting to us. And finally, we're going to choose one each day to read more closely. Today, we are going to talk about what it means to read and skim ones that are more interesting to us. Readers, let's take a look at this book, If Your Name Was Changed at Ellis Island. This is a book that you are welcome to look at and read and take notes on. When I was looking at this book, I first turned to the table of contents and read that. I noticed that there is an introduction, and I thought that that might be important for me to read. Also, I don't have a lot of information about what Ellis Island is, so this might be another part that I would like to read. Now I'm going to go through and look at the rest. I'm noticing that there are topics about where you would go when you landed at Ellis Island, who examined you, what happened if the doctors found something wrong with you, what kinds of mental tests were given, what did legal inspectors do, did you have a job waiting for you, did you have to be able to read English, what happened if you were detained, how long would you stay at Ellis Island. Now I'm going to go to the final page. Were there any special groups to help immigrants? What impressions did immigrants have of Ellis Island? And how did people learn English? And did immigrants ever return to the old country? As I'm looking at these different topics and reading what is in the table of contents, I'm thinking that I would like to read the introduction first and then read about Ellis Island, because the other ones kind of all talked about what happened on Ellis Island, but I'm not sure that I know much about Ellis Island yet. Readers, we always start with the introduction because that gives us an idea about what the book is all about. This introduction says, America has always been a nation of immigrants, people who have moved to the United States from other countries. Even the first Americans and Indians are believed to have crossed the Bering Strait over a strip of land that once connected North America with Asia thousands and thousands of years ago. When the 13 colonies were first settled, most immigrants came from England, Holland, and France. Soon, there were Scandinavians, Welsh, Scots, Scotch-Irish, Irish, and Germans. As early as 1643, a French priest visiting New Amsterdam, which later became New York City, said that 18 different languages could be heard in the city streets. By the end of the 1800s, Italians, Poles, Armenians, Russians, and others from southern and eastern Europe began to pour into America. On the west coast, Chinese and Japanese immigrants arrived. Here's the second page of this introduction, readers. It was the greatest human migration in history. We don't really know exactly how many people came, because for long periods of time no records were kept. And when they were, only some people were counted, not others. We do know that nearly 35 million people came to America in the 100 years, from the 1820s until 1924. In that year, strict immigration laws were passed to limit the number of people who could enter the country. For most of the newcomers, the trip was difficult, often dangerous. They traveled weeks, sometimes months, only to arrive in a place where they didn't speak the language. Often they had nowhere to live and little money. Yet they poured into America. This book is about their journey, their hopes and difficulties, and their adventures. It tells the story mainly of those immigrants who came through New York Harbor from the 1880s until 1914, when World War I began and the Great Migrations ended. For these immigrants, America was their destination, Ellis Island, the first stop. Readers, this passage let me know about immigration in America. It also let me know that Ellis Island was a place that immigrants came through when they first came to America. Readers, I'm hoping this will give me a little bit more information about Ellis Island, so I'm going to go ahead and read this one too. What was Ellis Island? Ellis Island was an immigration center located in New York Harbor. Millions of newcomers passed through its gates and were examined by doctors and legal inspectors. Some were allowed to enter the United States right away. Some were detained, that means held for a while, and some were deported, that means rejected and sent back. Before Ellis Island opened, immigrants had been examined at Castle Garden at the tip of Manhattan Island. At one time, Castle Garden had been a fort, then a concert hall. In 1855, it was turned into an immigration center. 35 years later, it was no longer big enough to handle the thousands of new immigrants arriving daily. Readers, that lets me know that Ellis Island was the place that immigrants came through when they arrived. It also lets me know that this was where immigrants were inspected and examined by doctors, and some were turned away, while some were held on the island. I also learned that it wasn't the only place where immigrants came, because before Ellis Island opened, there was Castle Garden, which was at the tip of Manhattan Island. Readers, today we are going to work on making a plan for our reading. You are going to look at what books are available. You're going to read and skim the ones that appear interesting to you. And after today, you're going to choose one to read more closely. But today we're just going to stick with looking at what books are available and reading and skimming ones that appear interesting to you. We are going to work with our reading partners to do this. So you and your reading partner will choose a book, look through it. You may quietly chat about the book. When you are done, you can put it back and choose a new one. You should write down the titles of the books that appear interesting to you so that you know which ones you would like to grab tomorrow and the next day when we are reading. Let's make it a great reading day.